How's it going, you beautiful people? I'm Jake the Ashen Hollow, and holy tits McGee! We finally have our first look at the last piece of Dark Souls we will have in the entire universe. Allegedly, anyways, but probably more likely last bits and pieces. Anyways, The Ringed City, the DLC coming out on March 28th. Wow. Okay, so what we're gonna do is a little bit of an informal video. I don't have a script, so you can expect me to ramble and trip over my own fucking tongue because I'm an idiot. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna watch the trailer and kind of break down bits and pieces of it. I'll pause it when necessary, and we'll talk about stuff and we'll speculate, which in most cases in a trailer, it's kind of silly to speculate and all that shit. But this is Dark Souls, and that's what we fucking do. So, let's play the trailer.
Peggy 16.
Peggy 16, indeed. I agree with that. There's a lot of lore implications behind it, but we'll get into that later. From Software.
The close of the Age of Fire. The Ringed City is said to be at world's end.
Alright, so first off, the end of the Age of Fire is the first thing she says, which is fucking cool. And then she says the Ring City, which I don't think that it's just the, oh, let's put the dark sign up here just to say this, because it's also a ring, and they won't ever put two and two together. It's kind of obvious, I know, but I did actually talk to like 2 or 3 different people this morning that didn't quite get that reference, so I just wanted to point it out there just in case you didn't catch that. So I think that's curious, and it seems like, you know, immediately you think Londo, right? As soon as you think anything that has to do with the dark sign, the dark sigil, undeads and hollows, now we all immediately go to Londo. And it seems like that would be a good guess, because guess what we see next?
Past this heap of rubbish, as far as one can go.
Alright, a pilgrim of Londo. I don't, you know, I can't even say anything about that. It's just, it speaks for itself. Let's continue. Oh, shit, I missed that. Okay. So we are also going to be referencing Dark Souls has a Facebook page. Obviously, everything has a Facebook page now. But, so they have a few pictures they put up here. Concept arts and kind of screenshots, I guess, from the game. And so what these that we just saw skittering across the screen are, is these. And they're also nice enough to give us little descriptions over here, which kind of help when speculating against the trailer. It says, when a city falls into abyss, or into an abyss, rather, locusts will then arise. It is said they will feast on anything and everything that is in their path. Okay. That's very interesting, because I guess what we're seeing here at the world's end, as we take it, has been sunken into an abyss at some point or another. So, okay, let's keep going. We'll just talk about bugs for hours. That's a windmill. This building. Now, my initial thoughts, like, without thinking, I immediately went, oh, that's the Sable Church of Londo. But it could be. It certainly could be. I think that in this DLC, we're not going to be in one place. Like in Ashes of Ariandel, the entire time we were in Ariandel. I think that there's going to be like a few different zones, if you will, in this DLC. And I think that Londo might be one of them, but I don't think it's the only place we're going to go to. So let's take a look. I have a picture I saved. It's actually should be the thumbnail of this. Obviously, it's the, you know, it's the same one as we can see. I think this is the concept art for it, but it's interesting if you, oh, how do I say, okay, you know, you just scroll. If you look up top, what does that look like? That's the Sword of Avowal, and I actually did not grab a picture of it to show you by comparison. Holy shit, let me do that. Okay, we'll go to Google. I've never done a video like this. This is so weird. Just like, oh hey look, it's Google and shit. Why is this like highlighted? That's weird. Okay, we'll just go with this one. Sword of Avowal. Okay, drink it in. drink it all in. Alright. So let me move this a little like that. Oh no! Why would you do this? And there we have it. We can't get close enough to see if there's engravings, but it's pretty uncanny. If we look over here to the left, we can kind of see where this bulge comes out, where it's got something kind of wrapped around it. I don't know the context of it or whatever. But we can see over here, it kind of appears to be doing the same thing. So, it's very likely that's the sort of a vowel, and we know that has to do with Londo. That's how we get married to Anri and all that shit. We take our dark sigils. So, you know, you have to think that this is something to do with Londo, which is kind of weird. It struck me as odd, because honestly, every time I thought of Londo, I kind of thought of New Londo, which makes sense, and it still could be connected to that somehow. But really what I mean is, I was always thinking like dark and dreary, and you know, there's dark wraiths everywhere, and fucking dark shit, and there's bats flying out of the corners, and there's spiders and spider webs, and it's all fucking scary. But if this is Londo, if this is any piece of the Sable Church, then it's not. It's not dark and dreary, which is very interesting. But anyways, let me close these tabs out. Let's move on. Okay, this appears to be a new miracle, right? He kind of has like a staff. You know what we can do? Let's slow it down a little bit right here. Okay, well, it's gonna go right. Oh, this sounds fucking whack. Okay, so he's got like a banner. I don't know if that's gonna be a catalyst. That's also kind of like a polearm kind of weapon, or if it's just a straight catalyst, but it's pretty cool. And obviously this mostly looks like a miracle. We can't say for sure, but if I was a betting man, I would bet that this is some kind of new miracle. I'm not sure what it does exactly. We see this guy kneel down, in which he will stand up, or I guess he didn't stand up. Oh, I'm stupid. See, so I don't know if that's actually, let's change it to normal, an NPC or not. Because you would think walking up, you know, walking right up to an AI or an enemy or whatever, they're gonna get up and try to whip your ass. So this may be an NPC. We don't really get to see too much here. They do give us reference of an NPC in these pictures. And this says, a man with a plate armor helm you can encounter in Dregheap. He states himself as an amnesiac hollow and calls himself Rap. Maybe he could be a reliable fellow. So I think this is one of the NPCs we're going to see. Kind of interesting. Don't really have any context at all regarding him or how to speak about him. So we'll continue on in the trailer. Alright. So lightsabers confirmed, right? Did you see it? He whipped it out like a lightsaber. Let's slow down. Okay. Let me go back and freeze frame there. So, okay, no, not actual lightsabers, but that's pretty cool. It appears to be some kind of crystal weapon. Right? We see kind of like towards the hilt down here, the crystal's kind of spiking out, and then it begins to get more elongated. It kind of looks like a rapier class weapon, which, I mean, is pretty cool. I dig rapiers. But here we see another enemy, and this, to me, kind of looks like something we see in Irithyll, right? We see all the Irithyll knights, the Pontiff knights, rather, and, like, even the Dancer and Vort. Or I guess not Vort, because he's kind of chunky, and he's like a chode. But, you know, like a chode, like short, fat, you know, whatever. But, and I guess he's also a chode, as in he's a fucking asshole. But, you know, with like the Dancer and the other knights, they kind of almost look stretched, right? Like they're really skinny and kind of lanky, and like they're made of Laffy Taffy or something. And this enemy right here kind of... It's so short. It's so short. Kind of seems the same way. And it almost kind of looks... The armor looks a bit like the Dancer-esque kind of armor. We see the elongated helmet and something hanging down here, and just the body movements. We'd see the skinny ass arms and all that. So that's interesting to think about, and it's really, really dark here as opposed to what we were seeing earlier, which was very, you know, beautiful looking, sunny and partly cloudy, probably about 74 degrees. Just a good fucking day. And here, guessing this is the new bow. This actually also looks like a new armor set, right? This kind of comes down in like a little triangle cape or cloak type thing. And some sort of dress. There seems to be some kind of floor pattern. I actually hadn't noticed that before. Yeah, there's something here that he or she is shooting, but can't really make that out. But it's like a lightning bow, which is fucking sweet. Because actually, if we come here, one of the pictures showcases one of the new shields, which says the shield formed by the head of a descendant of an archdragon, harks of the ancient dragon slayers. Even the descendant of an archdragon perishes not, the skill restores its former strength. So I think we're delving even further back in time in like the reaches of history, and we're seeing things that have to do with archdragons now. So it's interesting that we find here this lightning bow could be a relic of the war that Gwyn waged with the ancient dragons, since we know obviously they were weak to lightning. So that might give us some interesting insight in its item description about the war with the ancient dragons. Okay, and this guy we see, there's the concept art for him here. It says a gray giant who has existed since the archdragon was found. The giant used to be a judicator working under the gods. Now a lot of people think that this is Lloyd, and I can't necessarily say that that's not a relevant thought, because it definitely is. I think in some ways the same thing. If I wasn't already working on a different theory about Lloyd where I feel like I've pinned down kind of his identity, I would probably agree with him. But it just... So we know Gwyn, or not Gwyn, we know Lloyd was Gwyn's uncle, and he was like running the way of white, and he really just seemed like a really selfish, snobby, snuck-up dude, or stuck-up dude. He snuck up. He's not very sneaky. And he eventually was kicked out of the way of white, and was denounced and shit, because you're just a bad dude. And it doesn't strike me that he was working under the gods. I don't necessarily think he was above them. I think that he may have thought he was above them, but regardless, I think he was more so working along the lines of with the gods, rather than under them. And I don't think that he was a giant, especially if he was considered to be Gwyn's uncle. So, okay, this guy says it's clearly Giant Dad's final form, so I think we'll go with that. That seems accurate. But yeah, not entirely sure. It could be Allfather Lloyd, but I feel like he's one of those characters that's kind of like Belka, which I'm going to talk about soon, obviously, that I don't think we'll ever actually encounter. Okay, so here, very Seath-esque a little bit, right? With the wings, and they're kind of like the Moonlight Butterfly wings. Obviously they're not that corroded, but I guess kind of the shape and shit. And we see he doesn't really have legs, I don't know if this coming down is just like an elongated leg. But it looks kind of like, I don't know, like he doesn't have legs. Also, interesting fact is right over here, we can see the dark sign sun, or the dark sign moon, whatever it is. When we go to the kiln of the first flame and we see the dark sign pouring out of the sky, we can see it here, which leads me to believe that we're playing close to the kiln of the first flame, which, when we see that there's cities made out of buildings that are being like pulled in together, which we see at the kiln, kind of helps validate that. Also, we have an image, I believe this is the one, that says Dregheap, the furthest end of the world. Various remains from different historical periods have accumulated over time, resulting in high towers. So this is where everything in the world is collapsing together. The more and more nature is thrown off course with the linking of the fire, time after time, and things just keep getting worse and worse and worse. I'm guessing this is where, when shit's getting at its worst in certain things and they're just getting sucked in to, I guess, towards the kiln is what it seems they're all getting sucked into, that this is where they all end up. And I think this is what we see when we actually go to the kiln of the First Flame to fight the Soul of Cinder in the base game of Dark Souls 3. But I think maybe now we're just going to get a more in-depth look and get to explore. But it's cool that there's various remains from different historical periods have accumulated over time, resulting in high towers. So I think we're going to be getting things from all over the place through all different types of times. Like Lands of Kareem, we might find some things. Maybe things back from Londor. Or not Londor, rather, Lordran, excuse me. The fucking similar names. And just, Katarina maybe, and like we saw earlier, that lightning bow, which could be a relic of the War with the Ancient Dragons. So it seems like this is almost like the Museum of Natural History for Dark Souls. So that could be pretty exciting. Okay. So obviously, everyone wants me to say Velka right here. And I want to. I promise you I do. Nobody wants to see or meet Velka as much as I do in a game. But I don't think this is her. I honestly believe that we won't ever see her. I don't think FromSoft wants to reveal her like that. She's shrouded in mystery, as it should be, and it's fun to try to get to the bottom of that. But they did the same thing in the Ashes of Ariandel trailer, didn't they? A big crow thing with black hair. They knew we were all gonna be, oh, big crow thing with black hair and shit. That's fucking Velka. And they're like, oh, well, we fucking got him. And then here again, we're like, oh god, there's a chick with long black hair. This is the last DLC. Is this the Velka reveal? I don't think so. What I do think, I'd say there's two people that I think it could be. Okay, well, let's go with three. One being a new character. Or someone we haven't actually ever met or heard of. Which I guess is a new character. So I don't know why I said that. I don't think that's super likely. Two, I think it could be Ariamis. I really have suspected for a long time that Ariamis is the mother to the crossbreeds. And that's another video I'm working on. I know I'm working on so much shit, and I get ahead of myself a lot. But the next coming up weeks, there's gonna be a lot of videos from me. And Ariamis is one I'm gonna be talking about, and I firmly believe she's the mother of the crossbreeds, because here we see an egg of sorts, and I'm going to imagine with all the dragon references we've already gotten out of this trailer and of the photos Dark Souls has posted, I think that's some sort of dragon egg. Now I don't know if the crossbreeds are bred in dragon eggs or not, but a humanoid woman seemingly mourning or something over this egg. I don't know if the egg was broken or if it was actually hatched. We see some sort of black sludge and there might just be like the placenta or something. I don't know how eggs work. But yeah, so I think that is quite indicative of crossbreeds. And something else is, and I did not pull up a picture of this. I pulled up like some of the right pictures. So Priscilla, Dark Souls. Let's take a look at Priscilla really quickly. I gotta type in Dark Souls, because if you just type in Priscilla in Google search, like I don't know what you're gonna get. But, okay, this seems like a good picture. Notice how, so still up to debate whether or not this is an actual dress or if it's all her fur. I don't think that's too important right now, but notice how, like along the forearms up to the elbows, she has these long drapes that come down, and obviously she's in all white as well. And we see here, the forearm to the elbow, there's these long draped things, and it doesn't seem to drape from up here. It just seems to specifically be from right here, which I don't think they're as long as Priscilla's. Hers are quite long, but certainly reminiscent. Of course, also the fact that she is in all white. I'm not really sure what to make of this headpiece. We know Yorshka has one, but I'm not entirely certain that Yorshka and Priscilla shared the same mother, or at least the same father. It's complicated. But, so that's kind of the reason I think it could be Ariamis. The second, or a third I guess, because, new character was one. The third I think it could possibly be is Katha. And we know she's the goddess of tears, etc. She cries and, drops the tear stone rings that we use, and, or I guess, aren't really used too often. I think speedrunners use them most to get the benefit out of almost being dead, but everyone else is like, nope, fuck that, fuck. Full health. But we see here, kind of looks like maybe running mascara a little bit. It definitely seems that she's been crying. So that could be, you know, like the clue for us to tie this to Keitha. But yeah, of course it's just speculation, we can't know for sure, but my two if I had to guess, I would say either Ariamis or Keitha. Or Keitha could be revealed to be Ariamis. I don't know. There's a lot of shit going on. Let's continue. Touch the air. I'm not exactly certain the context behind it crumbling so easily after he touches. Perhaps it's symbolic of how frail our world is or something. I'm not sure. Alright, this boss looks fucking awesome. Okay, so we do actually have quite a bit of information on this guy. He, or I guess it doesn't actually say he, the last survivor of demons who were born from the flame of chaos dwelling below the land, with a grotesque look having been exposed to poison, their flame is fading away. Now, this seems very complicated. So the old Demon King was referenced as the sole surviving witness of the chaos of Izalith, or the events of Izalith, rather. But I think that's a bit different from being the last demon born from the flame of chaos. We know that when the events of Izalith occurred, that the denizens there were warped and disfigured into demons and different kinds of beings. We see that through Quelaag and Quelana, and then the Fire Sage demon was likely one of the clerics that lived there, according to his catalyst. But so I think the old Demon King, rather than being born a demon, was someone who was transformed or you know, distorted, all that good shit. So I think that's what the difference is, because I was having a conversation with some people, and we were kind of confused, because it seemed, you know, it's like, wait, did they just already retcon something from the game, and it's just the second DLC? Why would they do that? So I think that's the subtle difference between the two. But something else that's interesting is I believe the old Demon King says that the flame of chaos has faded, like that it's gone. But here, that's not so much what they're saying. Their flame is fading away, but isn't faded. So perhaps we're going to get some new context about Izalith and chaos, especially if we're going to find all these relics in the point of the world where, you know, all the events of history and pieces of lands and shit are all converged together. And also, interestingly enough, this demon is very similar to our not-so-friendly and friendly at the same time Batwing demons of Anor Londo. We see kind of like, I've always said that this face kind of looks like a brain a little bit. We see the same thing here with these horns that go back. It's got the teeth. He doesn't have the nose per se, and he's got these kind of other looking fin things. So it's not an exact replica, but it's certainly similar. We know that, you know, these demons, even though they're in Anor Londo and wielding lightning, have to be from chaos, because we know the bed of chaos birthed all demons. So we know Gwyn waged war with the demons. There was a great war, according to the new Bandai Namco official Dark Souls board games rulebook. Says that there was a great war waged between the demons. So perhaps he was able to capture some and kind of convert them or train them, brainwash them, whatever. So we're gonna see more chaos demons in this DLC, which I think is pretty fucking cool. He looks gnarly as fuck, too. It's gonna be quite a fight. And there we have it, Dark Souls 3, The Ringed City. So, shit, dude. Okay, well, there's one more thing. Where is it? I believe it's this. Okay, so this is just some concept art, and it says a traditional city for the pygmies called the Ring City. which makes me think even more about Londo. Pygmies, obviously meaning humans, in reference to Dark Souls. A portion of the bridge is curved, creating a wall on the inner side. Countless tombstones line the top of the wall made of rock. To me, you know what? This actually kind of a little bit looks like Londo. Or, gosh dang it, Lordran. Lordran from the first game, if you can remember being atop these walls and how the city, like the undead burg, was kind of scattered inside and all that shit. I don't think that it is necessarily, but it certainly seems similar, especially if we encounter this area where the world is being pulled together. It would be cool to see a piece of the undead burg or something like that from Lordran. But yeah, I think it's interesting. The Ringed City is a traditional city for the Pygmies, which just makes you think Londo even more. The City of Hollows. Hollows being from undead humans and all this shit. So, very interesting. There's a few other pictures we see here that wasn't in the trailer. We have a new enemy that says, a vicious knight swinging a giant greatsword. Sunken in a swamp, his body is swollen with every cavity bloated. Instead of having a head, a clump of darkness dwells, and with armor half decayed. So that is interesting. Here we see kind of just a swirl of darkness. And I'm not entirely sure the context of it, but their body shape kind of reminds me of the winged knights. Though their circumstances may be different because it says they've their body's bloated from being sunken in a swamp, but we'll see. And that's a cool sword. I hope we'll be able to get that because that's kind of a cool looking machete. Or I guess not a machete. It kind of looks like Yorm's machete, I guess, and if you're a giant, it'd probably be the size of a machete. But yeah, just no head, just a face of darkness. That's quite interesting. And here, over here again, we can see the dark sign in the sky, spilling out over near the kiln. What else was not showcased in? I think this picture was not, and it's just a dude walking through a city. It says a traditional city for pygmies, again called the Ring City. Half covered in foliage, the city looks desolated with ancient ruins. And here we see more buildings with the Sword of a Vow, Sword of a Vow, Sword of a Vow. Right here, Sword of a Vow. We even see it kind of carved into a relief over here on the stone. At least the circle portion of it. Here we can see confirm the little lip that was coming off the left side that I mentioned earlier. So I think, to me, that sells it. It's confirmed the Sword of a Vow. So if this isn't Londo, Londo was here at some point, right? Like, they swept through here. Or this is in fact Londo, which I really feel confident it is. Or part of, like, a kingdom of Londo, if you know what I mean. But yeah, we see it everywhere. I think over here we can kind of see the relief of it again. And it's likely, yeah, there too. So it's likely all over the place. And we see it up here, probably up here. But yeah, we just keep seeing it and keep seeing it. And you know what? These flowers, actually, are these the same kind that are in the kiln? I can't remember off the top of my head. But maybe not. I don't know if that's important. What else? Okay, so here's a new pyromancy. A pyromancy which tears down the enemies with the great fan of flame. Pyromancers who once lived in an ancient land with their greatest fan weapons and enchanting looks seem to still exist. And I think this has to do, and a lot of people do think it has to do with the desert sorceress from Dark Souls 2. So take that as you will. You can see the fan here, and see, I wonder if it's if the new pyromancy is just simply a weapon art of this fan weapon, or if there will be an actual new pyromancy, and this is just showcasing this weapon art as a pyromancy. And I think this is the last one, right? Unusually shaped paired great shields resembling great doors. The firmly closed door will help block a myriad of attacks from the enemies. So cool. Get like fucking riot shields now. Interested to see how that will turn out in PvP. So there's no mentions of anything kind of like a PvP arena or anything. I'm sure they're gonna add more maps to what they have going now, and perhaps something new. We'll just have to see. But really, I think that's about it. That's all there is to talk about so far, and Like, oh, I'm so excited. I really am. I think that we might get more Velcro references here, especially if it's anything to do with Londo. And what I think this DLC is going to do, it's closing out the Dark Souls series, right? We're shutting the book, and it's done. We're ending the story. I think we're gonna see an end to the undead curse. I think we're gonna see the curse broken and the age of humanity ushered in, and then the rest will be up to us to decipher. If happily ever after, darkness, whatever. But I think it is a happily ever after. I think the humans and undead have suffered far long enough. As the Age of Fire has been extended and extended and extended, they just get more fucked and fucked and fucked. So I think it's a happy ending. They can leave the curse behind them and finally find their peace and, you know, be ascended into their rightful age, right? And so I think, so it's complicated because we had 4 endings in the base game, right? But I don't think any of those will be canonical. I think that they'll actually have the canon ending to the series in this DLC, which seems weird because it's the DLC and it's not the base game. It definitely seems weird, but I think it's the right way to go, honestly. So I don't know if the DLC is going to take place in the exact same cycle we're in, or perhaps when we did whatever we did to the flame at the end of the base game, we continue after that and go here and finish everything off. I'm not sure, but I think that we're going to see a break to the undead curse. I think we're going to see the humans finally set free from it, and I think we're going to see an age of man come in, and I think it's going to be happily ever after. Yeah. That's I don't know. I'm just super stoked. We got 2 months and 5 fucking days. It's bittersweet because I love to see the trailer. It's like, yes, we finally, have things to think about, things to speculate on. But at the same time, you're like, gosh damn it, now I need more, and I gotta wait 2 months. But stick with me because we can make it through this 2 months together. I promise. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're as stoked as I am. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd definitely love to hear your thoughts and speculations on it because, I miss a lot of things. I'm human, and a lot of people will catch things I don't catch. And so yeah, let me know what you think, and we'll chat about it and do all that good stuff we always do. Thanks for watching, guys. If you haven't subscribed, I hope that you will. Like it if you like it. Dislike it if you don't. I guess that's the general rule of thumb. Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace 'em out.